This is one of our many series that we bring to you, and it is sponsored in part by the City of Chandler Industrial Development Authority. So we have three great speakers, dynamic speakers that you will want to hear from. So just a little of housekeeping things. In the chat box down below, all of the speakers will be able to answer. We'll do a question and answer at the end after all of their presentations are done. And then also we'll send you out their presentations for those of you that have registered in advance for participating. We really appreciate that. So our first one is Jane Poston with J2 Media. Jane is the owner of J2 Media and works strategically and positively, positions clients through video production, media relations, public relations, communication, and branding. Her passion is complicated and difficult topics and making them interesting and easy to understand. She has done this through her award-winning work at local news stations across the country in network and cable news, corporate video, and she also works as a spokesperson and video producer for 2 municipal governments. Jane has served on numerous boards within the local community, and she actually currently is the chair for the Chandler Chamber 2021 board chair. So even though she's my boss, that's not why we asked her here today, because we asked her here for our expertise. So thank you, Jane, for joining us. And of course, we also have Mark Stewart. Mark Stewart is with Concept to Completion. Mark has over 25 years of experience as a Fortune 50 leader through founding his own businesses. Mark has launched multiple brands from scratch and is either funded or co-funded 3 startups in electronics, sporting goods, and consumer product goods. Mark has intimate understanding of marketing in the modern age, having experience at retailers like Target, Walgreens, Walmart, Canadian Tire, and Amazon. Mark can provide insight into common marketing and retail strategy. He has been recently appointed last week as Vice Mayor of Chandler, Arizona City Council, and represents the Job Creator Network as the Arizona State Ambassador. So thank you for joining us, Vice Mayor, but today you're just Mark. But we asked him to be on here because he is an expert in his field, not because he's Vice Mayor. So I just want to make sure we point that out. And also joining us is Jillian Grammer. Jillian helps small businesses grow a strong online presence that targets audience who convert. She is committed to communicating a brand's unique value and story through organic and paid strategies. As the marketing contact manager for Concept to Completion, she is responsible for the internal and external marketing content and execution duties. She creates, executes, and delivers marketing for Concept to Completion clients, but not limited to social media, email marketing, creative design, blog, video development, content creation, Google AdWords, Facebook ads, etc. And a side note, Jillian was also an intern at one time here at the Chandler Chamber. So I am just so proud of you and where you're at. And thank you all for joining us. You know, marketing is one of our favorite topics that our businesses want to hear and they need assistance in. So I'm going to turn it over to the 3 of you to blow us away today. So thank you.
Terry, thank you.
No pressure, right, Mark?
No, thank you so much, Terry. I'm really grateful for everything that the Chamber does, and especially what you guys have done during this pandemic to get the word out about things that are going on to help the small business community and the whole business community for that matter has been tremendous. And I think it's one of the reasons that we're already seeing a rebound in a lot of our revenues from a city perspective. Putting on my vice mayor's hat here, our economy is looking up, and we're already we announced 3,000 new jobs in 2020. So I think 2021 could be a bombshell for us. So, and that's a testament to what the Chamber's doing. Jane, congratulations on your new role as the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. That's another reason why I know that the Chamber is going to be helping more businesses and exploding in 2021. So thank you so much for having us on today. And Jillian and Jane, thanks for being partners in this event. And we're going to dive right in here. So Jillian's going to run the con. Jillian, as Terry mentioned, is the content creation manager for my company, or for our company, C2C. And so she creates all of these decks that you see, and we're going to get right into this. So what we're going to talk about today, and this will be a short presentation, so we're going to give you a little bit of your morning back. It should only take about a half an hour to 40 minutes. But what we really want to cover today is why video is king. And the reason that we're here with Jane Poston is because her company, J2 Media, is the premier videography company in the Southeast Valley. And so for all of your video needs, they do just a tremendous job. And at the end of this, you'll see some examples of some things that they've done locally to really help the business community around Chandler, Gilbert, Ahwatukee, and even more, even into Phoenix. So the reason is video is king, and it is part of the rise of social media. It has really helped people connect with brands. The imagery and engagement on social media is getting better and better every day. We're going to show some examples of some video content. We're going to show types of video content. We're going to show visual content stats. Jillian's going to talk to us about the trend lines with regard to video. We're going to talk about videos for every stage of the marketing funnel. And we're going to talk about local videos. And Jane's going to show you some examples of some things that you can do with their organization or even on your own, because either way, you got to get out there and you got to get some video going. So we're going to dive right in here, Jillian. So keep going for us. All right, great. Jay, we hadn't dry run this yet. Jay, are you going over this one, or do you want me to do it?
You go right ahead.
All right, awesome. Thank you. So what we saw 10 years ago was, even 15 years ago, I guess, what did Facebook started in 2007? It was really rare to get people to even put up a picture. Now everybody knows you've got to put up a picture if you want to get engagement on your post. But what's evolving now is we're seeing that through this rise in social media and this content, and we're going to keep using that word throughout this, is that because social media platforms have tripled their base, they've done it because people are able to connect with the imagery that people are putting up. And I think the biggest thing that I took away from this over the past 10 years is that most people don't want to read a bunch of type. They just want to look at a picture. But if you can combine that with video, it absolutely blows the marketing strategy out of the water. So from 2010 to 2020, the social media users went from 970 million to 3.81 billion users. And the average growth rate since 2015 has been 12.5%. So the most amazing thing I think about this is that nearly everyone, half the world is using social media. 7.7 billion people use social media. So what we'll do is we're going to talk about, go ahead. What was that?
I was just going to jump in.
Yes.
To this particular slide. One thing that I might point out, we talk about this around our company, and especially when we talk to new people or employees or such, this is, such a great slide, because this information, this is exactly, it changed our entire business model. We began as only a video production company, and we would do documentaries, and we worked for all the networks and did those sorts of things. But then suddenly people were beginning to demand, hey, not only, we used to do a video, give it to someone and walk away. That's how most companies used to do it, even the larger companies. And now people are like, wait, now can you help me distribute it? So it changed our business model from just a video production company to grow and begin partnering with companies like yours, or having strategic partners, or doing some of that on our own for our clients. So this changed the world. It really, really did.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to do that, Jane. That's a really good take. I think what you've seen with brands over the past years, and actually since the beginning of time, is that brands that have only brands that were able to get on TV have been able to find success. The great thing about the advent of social media is now anyone can create video. They can even create it with their phone, and they can go out and reach the masses with their brand story and let people connect. And now it's expected, Jane, wouldn't you say? I mean,
oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's just a baseline expectation, where 10 years ago, remember, maybe a little longer, used to be like, oh, do you have a website? Now it's just very odd if you don't. And I think video is reaching that exact same integration.
Yeah. Hey, Jillian, didn't you tell me a stat a few weeks ago where the first thing that people go to isn't websites any longer? It's they look at digital footprint as it relates to like Facebook and YouTube and things like that.
Yeah, I know. I definitely do. Whenever I'm looking up a brand or a company, I look at that's just the first thing I do is I look them up on Facebook or Instagram. That's just my instinct.
So think about that. If the first thing that prospective buyers or clients are doing is going to your social media, wouldn't it be great if you had presence as it relates to a brand essence video? So you're basically telling people who you are, or you're looking right in the camera and you say, hey, I'm the CEO of such and such, and I'd like to get to know you. Why don't you fill out a form on email or give me your phone number and I'll give you a call and we'll connect that way. That's happening more and more every day. And so the biggest platforms that people are still doing that on are Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Believe it or not, worldwide it's WhatsApp, but locally it's going to be Facebook Messenger and Instagram. And don't forget about TikTok. It's the hottest thing going right now, and its growth within every demographic is off the charts. Matter of fact, I think TikTok is changing social media for the better, because what I'm seeing in my TikTok feed are things that I'm interested in, and it's all positive, right? I can change the algorithm by what I like to make sure that I'm seeing dogs, dogs running through parks, and I'm seeing things that are things that I want to see. And it's 100% away from like politics and things like that. And I love that. So let's go to the next slide. We'll keep cooking here. So imagery and engagement on social media. So images account for about 37% of an increase in engagement. So what I'm saying is if you just type, hey, I'm here and I want you to know about this, and you just put it in type, that's all for Twitter. Even on Twitter, you want to use images, but if you use an image, you're going to get a 37% increase in engagement, because people are either going to click your picture to zoom in on it, or they're just going to spend more time on your particular post. And then 63% of social media is made up of image, meaning that 2/3 of the updates that you see are going to be imagery. So, and save that little thought, because when I tell you about what's going on with video, it's going to absolutely blow you away. So here's the tweets that I was telling you about. Tweets with images received 150 more retweets. And then there's some good stats here on the impact of photos on Facebook. And you can kind of dig into those. We'll make this link available to you if you want to see this presentation later. So we'll go to the next one, Jillian. So we're going to show you a couple quick videos, about a minute and a half. We're going to show some of these videos and you'll recognize them all. But I want you to think about how you feel when you watch these videos and how important they are for the brand.
And another point is, from the first slide, we were showing these images of their brands, what they post on social media. This is just an image. So really in comparison to how the video makes you feel in comparison to an image. So.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. Wishing I was watching the game, having a bud. What's up with you?
Like you, wishing I was watching the game, having a bud.
True. True.
What is that? Yo, where's the unit?
Who's that? It's a smart world. Don't be stupid about how you get around.
Love that commercial.
That was close.
That video makes me so happy.
True.
And you guys all remember, you know what's funny is like that What's Up app is that What's Up is almost 10 years old, and they were able to bring people back to that brand memory. So that transcends multiple generations. And then you all remember the Dollar Shave Club, and we won't go through the whole video here, but I want to show you the beginning of it. So this is where the video, the brand, the CEO is connecting with the audience, face to face. He's letting you know who he is. And I think this is important too. So go ahead, Jillian.
Founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, For $1 a month, we send high quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up. Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay.
Okay.
So I love that commercial because it helps me connect with the brand, which I was never connected with the brand of Gillette or anything like that. But I'm a Dollar Shave Club buyer. You know, I use it every month. I have more razors in my bathroom now than I know what to do with. And the other thing about that is that I think I feel like I know him. And so it makes a difference for me. I feel like I'm creating jobs and doing things like that. So if you're doing that in your business, get that story out. Share that story with people about who you are. It doesn't have to be funny. It doesn't have to be, but just has to be real. And Jane, you can talk to this. I mean, realism is what's hot right now.
Absolutely. You know, I would say that this was, from a video perspective, this was a groundbreaking piece. It was one of the first times people dared to be kind of funny, kind of weird. They threw in that big guy in the, you know, and you've seen it mimicked many, many times. And probably too many times. I wouldn't recommend doing exactly this now, but I think what you said about the fact that you feel like you know that guy, you feel like if you saw him in downtown Chandler, you'd sit down and buy him a beer at Santan and chit chat. And suddenly it's you don't even understand like who had a connection to a razor before. You're right. It's this weird little product that everybody's known about for years and years and years. And suddenly they went, hey, we've all got this and we're going to make this personal connection. And we don't have to take it quite so seriously as these major brands have out of the years. So it really changed it. Funny is hard, I will say, though. It's very, very hard.
It is. This one's funny.
The good ones make it look easy.
Yes. You guys make it look easy. Oh yeah. So what I love about that movie is that video is that's a YouTube only type video. It's not being shown on television, but they're using it on YouTube. And YouTube is super inexpensive to reach eyeballs and also targeted eyeballs. I think it's one of the most inexpensive ways to advertise right now. Jillian, you know some kind of stats on that right now, don't you? Like as it relates to YouTube?
Well, yeah, YouTube is the #2 search engine behind Google. So people really are underestimating taking advantage of posting on YouTube and coming up for results on there. And I'll actually go into a little more detail on that later, but it's a great tool to use.
Yeah. I'm sure, Jane, you can attest. I've got clients that you have used videos, explainer videos and things like that I've been able to get 100,000 views on for $100, right? Because it 1 cent in engagement.
And I will tell you,
yeah,
we actually have clients that for their purposes, YouTube has some changes that they've made that maybe show other people's ads and those pop up. So maybe what they want to display on their website, social media, whatever, they don't want that. So we might use one platform. Vimeo is what we use for them. But we make sure we are also posting their videos on YouTube simply for those algorithms because they are so powerful. We don't want them to miss out, although they don't, want to have some of the other items to work with on YouTube. we make sure that it's there always.
Yeah. Well, Jane, why don't you tell us, like, I kind of gave a little peek behind the curtain here about the different types of videos, but there's a plethora of videos that you can use to get your story out or to connect with your customers. Why don't you go through some of these real quick, if you can see the slide that's up right now?
Sure, sure. So the presentation videos or promotional videos, those are sort of the basics. That's just sort of a who we are, what we do, and why. And I love this. I love this list just because it, a lot of people don't think about all the different ways that they can integrate a video. An explainer video is just more of a kind of a how-to. Here's step A, step B, step C. The video blogs, never, do not underestimate those and those podcasts and the video blogs are incredibly powerful right now. That's that one-on-one connection that you're getting with someone. They really get to feel that they know you. And that can be done very inexpensively and personally, just right from your computer. The webinars, we've seen an enormous number of webinars these days, been doing an awful lot. And I think the platform much more accessible right now to do a webinar, and you can either do those on your own. We work with a lot of our clients to do some and maybe add a little something to make them a little more professional or a little more clean. The one-time webinar, but the fact that you can use that information over and over and over again, it never has to go away. And then so ads, I think you already touched on this, both you and Jillian, Mark, that those ads are incredibly powerful, and you do that, and the placement is so good in YouTube. So we do strategic partnerships with companies that do pay-per-click, and just like you said, it's an amazing, very powerful tool, especially in terms of targeting who you want to see. That last ad is awesome, but you may not want to have that, like you said, on your website, because it's not going to fit your entire audience, because it is a little like, oh my gosh, did that just happen? In ads, there's ads and there's also commercials. I will say, out of all the work we do, we very rarely do commercials. That's just a different type of, it's a different type of product. And there are so many small businesses out there, and especially I think the businesses in the chamber, that when they think video, they think commercial and they think this big high production. But I would encourage you to think of ads, like Mark said, as those YouTube videos. It's not necessarily something that you are seeing during, what Netflix is showing or such. Those customer testimonials, that's about the number one thing that we encourage our clients to do just to start with, because again, it's that third party endorsement, and it's not me saying I'm great from the company. It's not the CEO saying they're great. It's people that and trust. And again, it's that personal connection. If a customer will go on, put their name on, put their company on and say, I use these guys and they're amazing. It's like that networking in the chamber. We're going to use the people we know, right? You're going to use somebody that you feel like you know. The live streams obviously are really important. We're able to do so much more with that. They can be anything from very straightforward to very sophisticated productions. The product videos, just showcasing that product in a beautiful way, as well as live video. One thing you had mentioned, Mark, is, you can do it right now on your phone. And I will say, from our perspective, is there are, and people sometimes get surprised to hear this, but from our perspective, there's absolutely a time that people should be doing some videos on their phones. So, and there are definitely times where they should not. And again, it's always thinking about, who are you trying to talk to? And so many companies, I mean, that's the very first question. So many companies want to get their message out and just push, without thinking about who that customer is and what's going to appeal to them first. So when you're looking at this, what's really appealing to your customers? Do they need to hear from somebody else's use of your product? Do they want something lighthearted and light in their life? Do they want to feel like they've heard from that CEO? Because those customer testimonials are right in line with hearing from the CEO of the company who says, I believe in this, you know me, you know my people, I have faith in my people, all of those different things. But these are really, that's a really good comprehensive list of different things that you should be thinking about if you want to incorporate video.
And Jane, I mean, I'll just, sing your praises here when it comes to like the tutorials, or if you want to do professional webinars or product videos, especially, you want your brand to transcend when you're doing product videos. I know it makes sense if you want to maybe do it with your phone, but unless you're a brilliant editor, you have a great gimbal, you're doing all those things, you really want to step it up and do a professional shot. You get one shot at that for brand imagery. You get about 3 seconds to grab somebody's attention. So if you're thinking about that, and especially with food, if we got any restaurateurs that are on here,
my goodness.
lighting is so important for food. And I see, I've got folks that I see on my feed that try to do it in-house. And I've also got people on my feed that do it professionally. And it doesn't matter when the picture is taken, but the professional shots just look so much more, they just look more delicious, and they're more appealing. So it's something to be aware of. And when I see video of food, it just changes the whole game for me, because I can see it sizzling and things like that. So anyway, just something to consider.
Food is tough.
Food is hard, but it makes the impact, right? So
It absolutely does. It absolutely does.
Let's go to the next slide here real quick. And then Jillian's going to take this one on. Thank you.
Okay. So some mind-blowing visual content marketing statistics about video. And I'm not really sure how else I'm going to go about this slide other than reading these off to you. So here we go. There's been a 30% increase in Google searches for the word video over the past year. So that's really just telling us people or consumers are looking for videos. That's definitely something I'm looking for, I know, and clearly people on Google are searching for that as well. By 2021, so the statistic was taken in 2020, 80% of all content will consist of video. So all the content that you're seeing on your social media will consist of video. That is something I've definitely noticed on Instagram. I was on Instagram the other day and I was just scrolling through and I was like, these are all videos. They're all IGTVs or reels. Like, it took me a while to get to a post that was just an image. And I was like, people are really upping their game. So people are going to continue to post more videos. Over 50% of consumers watch product videos before they make a purchasing decision. This is something I just did the other day. I was looking into starting a new skincare line, and I went on YouTube and I looked up reviews for that skincare line. So that's something I do before I make a purchasing decision. A video posted on Facebook receives 135% more organic reach. That's something we have definitely seen on our Facebook analytics, is when we post videos for our clients or for ourselves, they just get more organic reach. People are engaging with it more. So it's signaling to Facebook that it's an engaging post and we'll show it to more people. And then viewers gaze 5 times longer at video content than other forms of content on Facebook and Instagram. I thought this one was interesting, but it definitely makes sense. When I am scrolling on my feed and I come across an image, that's all that's there. That's all I have to see. I either decide in an instant if I want to look at it longer or keep scrolling. A video, I sit there and I watch for longer, you know, seeing what it's about. Do I want to keep watching this? So I'm looking at it for a longer period of time. And then videos posted on Instagram get 21% more interactions than images. And then over here, if you are a small business owner, this is some great statistics and really just signifies the importance and impact of video. This study was asking marketers if video was worth the effort, and 91% of marketers are satisfied with their return on investment of video marketing on social media. 85% of marketers say video is an effective way to get attention online. And then this one is really great here. 93% of businesses landed a new customer because of a video on social media. I mean, isn't that what we all want? So this one here is asking what consumers would rather see. What type of content consumers want to see from brands, and the number one here is video. Okay, if you haven't guessed by now, video is one of the best forms of content for engaging and converting audiences online, audiences into customers. So now we're going to take a quick look at the science behind why video works and why it resonates so well with people. So first we have the power of 12. Videos are 12 times more likely to be watched than text is to be read. And that's in part because movement is known to grab attention. In addition, we're able to process information with our visual senses. Our visual senses are very powerful by less than 1/10 of a second. And a great example of this is this comparison of a visual description versus a written description. So when I look at the visual description, I obviously instantly know it's an orange square. When I look at the written description, it says a plane figure with 4 equal straight sides and 4 right angles. That just takes so much more of my brain power to understand. Like, thinking back on it now, I can instantly tell you, yes, I saw an orange square, but I can't remember which order. I can't tell you the order of the words or what it exactly said. So next, video is irresistibly attractive to our brains. It grabs our attentions a lot faster and longer than other forms of content. In fact, visuals are processed 60 times faster than text. And I just think that example above just signifies that. And actually, an interesting fact I came across is that humans are actually hardwired to avoid cognitive strain. So video is enjoyable and just bottom of the line, easier for people to understand and absorb information than other forms of content. Next, speed and volume. Are you a visual learner? Well, 65% of us are found to be. And did you know that 1 minute of video contains the equivalent of 1.8 words? That's a lot of information we can take in and process in just 60 seconds, which is why it's great to communicate hard, complex ideas through videos. That's those how-to videos that we were talking about earlier. Okay, 4th point here, emotional connection. Companies have used videos to create emotional connection, to connect their audience with the brand. And that emotional connection helps convert viewers into customers. Campaigns with purely emotional content have been shown to perform 2 times as well as campaigns with other rational forms of content. So really powerful. Lastly, video is memorable. 80% of viewers recalled a video ad they've seen in the past 30 days. And honestly, I can't tell you a text ad or post that I've seen within the past 30 days, but I can tell you a video I've seen in the past 30 days, and I'm on social media all day, every day. Okay. So now this slide is going to go into examples of video for every stage of the marketing funnel. And this is definitely a higher level tactic. And I just still thought it was valuable information to share. And I don't want this to scare away anyone that is thinking about doing video. But aside from all of this, I would say just start implementing video into your everyday content and you will see results. But let's get into the videos for every stage of marketing. So we've probably all seen some form of the marketing funnel. We've definitely shown them on webinars in the past. This one here outlines the awareness stage, consideration stage, decision stage, and then the retention stage. So starting with awareness, the goal here is to show people who you are. An example of that would be answering commonly searched for questions or problems. And this is what we were talking about earlier. This will actually help with your SEO, because making a video answering a commonly searched for question and uploading it to your website or blog or social media, or especially YouTube, like we were saying, because remember, YouTube is #2 behind Google as a search engine. Your video will show up in someone's search for that search result. And if you're answering a commonly searched question, your audience usually asks in that phase, you'll be able to attract the right audience. So at this point, you're casting a wide net, establishing an audience and aiming for maximum exposure. So here you'll be using view count to measure your performance. And then consideration stage, your goal here is to help people solve a problem. The buyer has identified their problem and they're looking for your solution. So an example here would be educational videos, how-to videos. And a tip here is to get people to really engage with your video is to add transitions, add slides, add sub-captioning on the bottom, just to help people stay engaged and entertained for longer. And here you want to measure the time people are spending watching your video. All right, so the decision stage, now it's time to convince your leads to buy your product or service. And this can be done through those testimonials that we were talking about, and compelling videos about your product or service. And here it's obviously the conversion phase. So depending on how you measure that, it could be signups or actually buying the product or service. That's how you would measure it there. And then retention. I just want to touch on this real quick. And this stage is often overlooked. And this is where you'll be helping your customers succeed. You need to think about if your consumers are losing interest or not using your product or service as frequently as they once were, and that's how you are retaining them. So you need to continue to show and continue to add value to the user's life with educational videos of maybe how to use the product or service in different ways, featuring new launches if you have them, company culture videos, and how you're measuring that is a cohort analysis. That's your key metric there. Okay. So
I want to
now,
make one quick point, and obviously, if you haven't gotten the theme of this webinar, is that video is important. But let me just share this with you real quick. TikTok is taking the social media world by storm, and Facebook and Instagram are going to be chasing because TikTok's stealing their market share. So what you're going to see is this preference of Facebook and Instagram to really reward their customers or their users that are putting up video. It's one of the reasons that Jillian mentioned that she's seeing so much more video on Instagram. Instagram's got all their chips pushed in on Instagram TV in order to compete with TikTok, who's stealing market share left and right. These social media companies want you to be stuck in their platform so they can sell you ads. And the stickier they are, the more advertising they can sell because they're going to get more impressions. So that's the key to all of this. So just keep that in mind. So Jane's going to share some local videos that they've done. And these are remarkable. So Jane, I'm going to hand it over to you and thank you.
All right, so we've got a couple of here, and before you start them, if you want to just hold on, Jillian, I wanted to say that the videos that I pulled, I don't want to make you watch client videos, so we'll just watch 10 or 15 seconds of them, and I'd like to maybe just talk a little about why I chose this video to show you as an example, because I chose some of the videos that we've done that I think are the easiest access, probably the most common and some of the most important for businesses that are maybe beginning to venture into video. And so I just kind of wanted to show a few different examples. So I'm not interested in you really looking at the content, but more about the why of why we chose to share these videos. So I believe this is if you could just go ahead and roll it for 10 or 15 seconds, that'd be great.
okay.
Every decision to hire or not to hire is going to be based on the client themselves and what their company policy is. But the notifications that go out to the applicants that are not getting to that next level, those have to be done a certain way through adverse action. And that's where we step in and guide them through that process, help them navigate those waters.
So we could just go ahead and stop this one. This is a client of ours, and this is the owner and president of the company. And that was one that I had talked about a little earlier. Clearly, we want him to look professional, but a little bit accessible. It's all of these things that we are thinking about. And when it comes to owners and presidents and small business owners, their time is very, very limited. So this is very simple. It's just straightforward. It was done in our studio, offices in our studio, just with a white backdrop and then highly edited. Now, He is, we were sort of elevating his presence on some social media. This was more LinkedIn. This was to send out to clients. Clearly, it's a very targeted audience. Probably half the people here don't understand what adverse action is, but if you are an HR professional, that's right there in your wheelhouse. So the words that he's using, the words you're seeing on screen, they all support. He also knows your industry and he's here for you. So again, the whole purpose was to get that introduction of the president of the company in a fairly professional way. It was really their first venture into video and doing this. And it's a long-term, very successful company. It's been in business for more than 20 years. So I'd like to, if you could pop it up, Jillian, show the other one. It's from the same company. It's called Risk Assessment Group. They're a local background screening organization. This is for the exact same company. So if we could just watch this one.
Getting the right employees on board can be a constant challenge because you don't always know who you are hiring. It would be nice to think that everyone is honest on their resumes, but that's just not always the case. The reality is that people embellish or even hide parts.
So that you might notice is a little bit of a different type of message, and yet for the same company. So remember, we're always talking about, begin with the end in mind. Who are you trying to reach and what are you trying to say? Clearly, we are trying to, with this company, reach a very different audience, but it's an explainer one. It's also one that, and timing is very, very important. So, we can go out and produce something like this really quickly. And these are pretty common, and they're very accessible and very personable. And so they had some large groups on Facebook that we were trying to reach. They also were doing some work at some conventions, and they wanted something to compete with some very large international companies that were out there with all sorts of interesting stuff, but they wanted to be accessible to those companies who were and just show this up on their screen to all the people walking by. And showing a little image like this made them very accessible, but it was a nice little explainer that they could also email out or put on all of their platforms or that sort of thing. So two very different approaches, even within the same company. So you want to pop up another one? Just surprise me.
All right. Here we go.
Walmart is all about helping our customers save money so they can live better. And to do that, we need outstanding associates in our stores doing great work every day. With that in mind, we've created the new People Lead role to help guide, develop, and grow our store associates. We believe in the power of...
We can stop this anytime. So obviously this is one of our larger clients, but we do quite a bit of their internal training videos. The thing to think about, and I know, this might be different from small businesses, but there are plenty of small businesses in town that have multiple locations. So there are a couple of things that you can accomplish with something like this. One, I'd like to point out how actually simple, and I would say maybe even boring, this particular video shot is. And yet, it's a simple, a couple of people here, we're trying to convey the message that they're working together, all of those things. But when you can probably do something like this on your own, when you actually hire a professional video company, they probably have a lot more access to some tools to actually engage, move some of your more simple shots. So even if you aren't out there with aerials or helicopters or all sorts of different kinds of equipment, there are plenty of ways that you can still make this engaging and interesting. This was really an internal how-to training video. And I would say one other thing that we really didn't talk about, because it's not as public facing, but that for those companies that have multiple locations, and there are many of these across the valley, or you might have a location down in Tucson and you're trying to either reach your audience or you're trying to reach your customers, especially now that we can't talk to each other one-on-one during the pandemic. this is a great way to make sure the same people are getting the same message over and over and over again. And this is just a really common one. It's a little different from what we had talked about before in terms of it being internal how-to and training, but it's very, very important in terms of training people. So I think there's one more that we can show or move on depending on the timing.
We can just show 15, 20 seconds.
Sure. And we could probably just stop that one. That's another just basic example of a different idea of a quick explainer video. This is about the company, who they are, what they do. It's that text on screen. If you notice, the music is a little intense. It kind of grabs your attention. The images are intense. This was one done for this company, probably within a matter of, they had a presentation and we turned it for them in about 18, 24 hours. So it was very quickly done, which is why, you know, think about that. There are ways to make things happen fast. And I'm just trying to hope that maybe you'll think of video. I think everybody's seen the video. Mark showed some amazing examples of great video, but there are a lot of different ways to look at video in terms of your images and your graphics. The sound is really important. Everybody thinks audio isn't important until it's there. The way you use the font, the text, all of it comes into play to make something interesting and that will capture people's attention and be engaging. And again, it's about who you're trying to get in front of.
And Jane, that's so well said. And I can't tell the difference, like from a production standpoint, especially with that CEO, right? That made his company look so big, Jane. And I think that's the key with some of this content that you can create, is that with your professional services, those companies that maybe 10, 15, 20 people, they can put a video out like that and they look like one of the big guys. And I think that's key when it comes to like putting video out on LinkedIn or anything, or even on your website, because that brand credibility now is 100, well, not 100%, but it's a lot of it about your digital footprint. And so when people look and see what you look like online, whether that's social media, Facebook, any of those things, LinkedIn, Facebook, videos can really bring your business to life, and a professional video can make you look bigger than you are, and people more likely to trust your brand. They're also more likely to share the story. And the biggest thing, when Jillian talked about it earlier, they're going to retain your brand message versus text and pictures, because video hits so many different senses. So what a great presentation. We actually had so much great content. We ran a little bit over what I thought we would, but this is where we kind of open it up to questions. But what a phenomenal presentation. So thank you so much for that.
We do have time for a couple of questions, and thank you, Mark and Jillian and Jane. And you know, I'm a big fan of all of yours, because again, it's about integrating and collaborating in what is best for your business at what time. And so a couple of questions. What is a good length for a social media video to promote an event/product?
Do you want me, or do you want to take that?
Jane, Jillian, yeah, you're the expert here.
I would say in terms of video, the number one question is, how are you going to use it? If you're going to use it for social media, make sure it's the right size to fit that social media platform. We'll even cut down a video to make sure that it fits Instagram correctly, which is right at, we try and make it about 59 seconds. I wouldn't go much longer than 1:15. It's really about getting that message across quickly.
Great. For ads, should a small business or nonprofit invest in video media first?
For ads?
Yes.
Jane, this one's pretty easy. Yes, you should invest in video. Here's my take on this, is that when you see the conversion rates and the impact of the ROI from video for what you actually want to accomplish, what I see is, here's what I see in the years that I've been doing this in marketing, is that I see people try to dip their toe in the water and try to like fake it. And what they do is they get frustrated and they waste money and they waste time. And then 6 months to a year from now, they come back and say, okay, I should have followed what you said and done video, and just make the leap, because the impact that you're going to create from a brand perspective and for people being able to connect with you and having that touch and that reach, especially through social media, you can't duplicate that with anything else. You just have to do it. Jane?
Sometimes going sort of the cheaper route is the most expensive decision you'll ever make. And I can't tell you, it's the same thing. So many clients come back and they've spent an enormous amount of money trying to do some things, and that's an investment of their time and their resources. And it's that do what you do best and outsource the rest. But they end up having spent a lot of time and money doing something that just wasn't effective. But you're right, go in, jump in and do it correctly.
Yeah, you could, like, I always use this analogy. I can go do my own plumbing. I can watch a YouTube video and go try to figure it out, right? But I'm not going to do it very well. And it's going to take me a really long time. And what I am is a marketer, right? I do social media and branding and all those good things. I'm not a plumber. And so what I see so often, especially with small business owners, is they think they can do that, right? And the reality is that it's not that expensive to get a professional to help you do that, just like you would have them fix your toilet, right? Just make the commitment.
Can I jump in with one other thing? This is the analogy I use with my clients a lot. I'm like, because everybody's like, well, I have a phone, and the tools are accessible right now. Very accessible, very easy, and the prices come down. But I'm like, I have Word on my computer. We all do. Doesn't mean I'm going to write the greatest American novel. You've got to know how to use it correctly and use it well. So
I love that. So here's a question for Jane. What criteria determines the cost of the video?
Ooh, that is a really good question, because, you hate giving that answer to people that it depends. But video is typically a time-based product. So, the more that we can get some economies of scale, let's say we have 5-6 people that we are going to interview, and because we're going to make 5-6 videos. If we can get those 5 to 6 people in the same room on the same day, we're going to charge you that once. We're not going to charge you for every single video. If you need us to interview those 5 people 5 different times, there's the setup, there's the lighting, and people always underestimate how long that setup and lighting and things take when you're doing it in a way that is lit well and makes you look good. And so the more efficient you can be in the planning, that will add to it. Some specialty items occasionally will add to a budget in terms of like aerial videos. The FAA is regulating drones quite a bit more than they used to. And so that requires, some fees and those sorts of things. Typically it's about, you'll get a half a day or a full day of shooting, a couple of days of shooting, and there's your cost, and then how long it might take to edit. And if you are having some very personal creative effects, that will cost a little bit more, but your basic videos, most of what you saw that I shared were nothing extra went into any of those videos in terms of producing that content in the edit bay. I hope I answered the question. It's kind of hard to ask when it's such a general description.
Well, and it's funny because you're right. You had stated it earlier. Everybody has accessibility on their phones, and they think that I think there's a time and a place for that, but there's also a time and place for professional video. In fact, it was interesting, and I'll just tell this quick story. We just went through a whole new branding campaign, and I know that you and Mark were on that committee. But one of the things that we took a look at internally was, and you brought it up, was we take a lot of pictures of events and so forth. But what we started looking at is, boy, we didn't have a lot of really good pictures. We had a lot of fun pictures, but were they the quality that we needed? And as well as video, and I know that we've used for our larger events, and we put video productions together. That was one of the things. What's that quality that you want to project? And I think that those are really, really good, important type of things to remember. So one other thing, and I do have to say, I loved the white background on when you were interviewing that CEO. I just think it added some elegance, and just, I do have to ask this, did they not want their logo or anything behind them, or was that done purposely?
That was done purposely.
Okay.
We were trying to emphasize the educated and response as opposed to just sell in your face.
Okay, good. I thought that was very well done. So thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
So other questions for the team? And Jillian, I just have to say, every time you give me so many data and statistics, my head just goes round and round. So I know that we will share that with those of you that have signed up to be on this. So I really appreciate that. And I appreciate each one of your times. We are so blessed here in the Chandler community to have so much talent here to be able to help our businesses navigate. So thank you to both of your companies and what you're doing to help business, not just small business, but business. So again, I want to thank you for your time today. Thank you to J2 Media as well as Concept to Completion. And we are exciting. Next week, we have brand building. A brand is a promise. So, okay, what am I promising? So I think we're going to have Mark and Jillian back to hear about that. So thank you again. Thank you to the City of Chandler IDA for your continued support and sponsorship of these tremendous programs. So thank you again. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for
Thank you.
having. Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah. Thanks, Jillian. See ya. Bye, Terry.